Funding for Brampton Memories of a Small Town has been brought to you in part by the Rotary Clubs of Brampton.
Hello, I'm Albert Seaman and welcome to Brampton Memories of a Small Town. There are a number of places in the world where, due to distinct factors of environment and fashion, it becomes the destination in the world for connoisseurs of architecture when they wish to study a particular style or type of building. If you wanted to study Art Deco, you would go to New York. For Georgian, you'd go to Bath. If you wanted to see classical architecture, Athens and Rome would be at the top of the list. Hearing the names of these far-off places, it may surprise you to know that Brampton is also the centre for a particular style of architecture, the Octagon. Within its current boundaries, Brampton has two fine examples of this style, and in nearby Caledon and Maple, there are two others. The Octagon was short-lived as an architectural style. Few structures were built, and of those that were, very few are still standing. As a result, the Octagon is today a very rare style of architecture. The presence of two today within our municipality may be unique. The Octagon is certainly not one of the most well-known styles of building, but it is one of the most distinct of the 19th century. Although relatively short-lived, it was perhaps the most advanced and may well have influenced concepts of construction today. The Octagon is what you would think it would be, an eight-sided building, the origin of which goes back into historic times. Perhaps the earliest example was the lighthouse at Dover Castle in England. This was built by the Romans around the 2nd century AD. The first appearance of the octagonal form in North America seems to have been in a Dutch church built near Albany, New York, around 1656. Several other multifaceted building forms cropped up in various parts of America until the 1840s. A man named Orson Squire Fowler emerged to provide a great boost to the octagonal building movement. Orson Squire Fowler was widely known in the 19th century for his expertise in phrenology, the popular pseudoscience of analysing personality traits by examining the bumps on your head. He was a successful author of several books on this topic and several unrelated topics. But in 1859, he published his most distinctive work, A Home for All, which provided him a place in the architectural history of North America. In very practical terms, Fowler showed mathematically how the Octagon contains 1/5 more room than the average square building. Fowler's book, A Home for All, in which he discussed the octagonal building style, was one of the most popular books in Ontario on architecture in the 1860s. The influence of Fowler's book must have reached William Byrd, who is alleged to have been the designer of the Octagon House on Heritage Road in Brampton. This belief is supported by the fact that the word bird has been found scratched into one of the framing lintels of the house. The Heritage Road house is a red brick structure in Flemish bond with white brick decoration. This is set upon a rough fieldstone foundation. The decorative patterns appear as a band of crosses just below the eaves and is capped by a row of dentils. The use of contrasting brick was very popular in Ontario in the 1860s and served to indicate the approximate time of construction. The rectangular west wing was almost certainly added after the main body of the building had been completed. The roof line has been carried through the structure, however the detailing has not been continued. The outstanding feature of the house is undoubtedly its belvedere, which provides light in the room and the upper floor all day long and is undoubtedly a very fine office. The three easterly walls contain French double doors which open out into a veranda which has been recently reconstructed to show how the original might have looked. This building was saved from demolition just recently by Mr. Fred Key, who spent great efforts in restoring the house in the late 70s to a habitable condition. In 1978, it was designated under the Ontario Heritage Act and now has a plaque certifying its heritage significance. Join us now as we look around the Octagon House on Heritage Road. I'm now talking to Fred Key, a former member of council and a long-time resident of Huttonville and a local contractor. Fred Key was responsible for the restoration and pretty much saving of the house back in the 70s. He was a man that did all the restoration work on the house, and it's because of Fred that the Octagon House is still here today for us to enjoy and take pictures of. Fred, how did you first find the Octagon House? When was the first time you saw this?
Well, being a resident of the area, I was always aware of this house, and when it became vacant, I was surprised that nobody was living in it and looked after it. So I knew it was going downhill very rapidly because the roof had deteriorated and it was leaking very badly. But when I heard that Maple Lodge Farms, Jack and Bob May had purchased the property, I then approached them about their thoughts of saving the property. Mm-hmm. And although they were agreeable, they were somewhat hesitant because of the condition of the house. So I offered to lease it from them for 5 years. They'd supply the material, and I'd supply the labor and restore it to a state that it was fit to rent. And this I did. It took more than a year. It took many years to complete, but in the year's time, I was able to rent it to the first tenant. Mm-hmm. And then much was done in the next 5 years.
What was it about this house that made you go to such great lengths?
The construction, of course, is unique because it's got a center core in it that supports the whole house. And even the room on the top sits on this center core. And it's a rectangular brick core that's right up the center of the house. So all the joists sit on it, the whole building's tied to this center core.
It's almost a forerunner of today's skyscrapers, which are also built with central cores.
Oh, I guess so. Okay. But they've never, even the basement in this house has never been completed because it's still got an earth floor on it, because the core was used for keeping vegetables in the wintertime. It was like a root cellar or a cold room, and everything was stored in this room.
The outside of the house is certainly unusual. What is the interior of the house like?
Well, it's unusual too, and I think maybe we should have a tour of it so you can see it, because it's certainly different. There's no question about it.
Oh, great. Terrific.
Funding for Brampton Memories of a Small Town has been brought to you in part by the Rotary Clubs of Brampton.
Well, welcome to the Octagon House. This is the family room, Michael. It's not as it was. We had to change it because the whole end wall had fell out of this part of the house. So when rebuilding it, I decided to make it a family room. It'd be more useful in that way. It was originally a farm kitchen, with where you could have the big farm table here for everybody to sit and eat, while the cook stove was in the corner and the pantry was in the other corner. But I took out the walls because they were in such disrepair they couldn't be repaired. I picked up material from different buildings that were being demolished, and strangely enough, the wainscoting on this room came from Old Central School on Alexander Street, and when they were demolishing it, I went in and with permission of the demolition company, I helped myself to enough material to do this room, and I think it's been quite a help to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this isn't an original portion of the Octagon?
No, I think this was an add-on. I think the original Octagon was built, and then they added this on after because they certainly needed more room, especially for the kitchen area. In my time and in my memory, this was always the kitchen of this house. The kitchen of this house now is through that door.
Should we,
Into the next room.
should we go into the Octagon?
Yes, okay.
Well, we're in the Octagon, so what room are we in now, Fred?
Well, this was always used as the living room. It had a fireplace in it. Now, that fireplace that's there is a replica because that total wall had moved so much that it was no longer safe to have a fireplace. So it's, if you like, an imitation fireplace.
The gap there in the wall is an interesting feature, isn't it?
Yes, there's a little cupboard built into the wall, and there's also what I probably believe was a dumb waiter to bring up from the basement any preserves, any vegetables or whatever that they used. They could lower that and then load it in the basement and then bring it up there. It's not in working condition. It wasn't repaired to that state. The ceiling is tongue and groove boards. They're as they always were. Nothing was changed there. That's all.
I guess one of the advantages of having Octagon House is you get light from many different directions in the day, and so I guess in this room is an example of that.
That's right. They, as you notice, there was a window in every side of the house, so there was always light coming in, no matter what direction the sun was in. You always got good light.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Should we go into the next room?
Yes, I think we can look. This room that we're standing in the doorway really is the core of the building. Mm-hmm. And this core is brick. The walls are solid brick from the basement floor right to the ceiling of this room. And it makes it very difficult for wiring, plumbing, or anything else because they are solid brick. Mm-hmm. And the house really tied to this center core. And this was, at that time, is now a bathroom, was a bedroom. The other half of it is from the other side. It was a bedroom also.
So which room are we in now, Fred?
This would be the parlor, Michael. In the early days, they always had a special room that they kept for special occasions and special friends. And obviously, if the minister came to visit on Sunday or any other day of the week, they always entertained him in the parlor because it was right off the front entrance, and he could just come in the front entrance and right into the parlor, and that way they didn't have to take him through the rest of the house. It was always a special room.
Mm-hmm. Would he have come through the French doors, perhaps?
Yeah, he could have because the veranda around the house there was French doors, and that was twofold. That was for ventilation as well as for easy exit to it, entrance and exit. You could come in off the veranda into that.
Mm-hmm. The molding around the doors is interesting. Is that original?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It certainly doesn't have a lot of fancy work to it, but it is the original trimmer on the whole house. This is all original.
The banding around, the beading around the end of the room, that's the top of the room. That's an interesting feature also.
Yes, that from a decorator's delight, that helped to lower the height of the ceiling. And at one time, you bought little hooks to hang on that to hang the pictures off it, and that's where the pictures hung. There's a clothes closet in that room that's a three-cornered clothes closet. Now, it's going to be very difficult to show a picture of it, but it is a three-cornered clothes closet because it's this spin-around house. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure how you would ever hang your clothes in it. It certainly would be all right for a walking stick or a high silk hat or something like that.
I understand that's one of the interesting features about an octagonal house is the interesting shaped closet space.
That's true. That's true. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Should we go on into the next room?
Yes, you can go out to the front entrance and around through it to the next room if you like.
Okay. So, Fred, what room are we in now?
This is the main entrance. This is the entrance from the front door off the veranda. Normally, if you're a guest, you always come in the front door. So you come into this small vestibule, with its unique clothes closets.
There's an interesting groove down the middle of the front door. Would that be to match the French doors?
Yes, obviously they were trying to make it look like French doors, and that's the windows are done the same. The mullions in the window frame are done the same.
The closet there is quite interesting. That's original, is it?
Yes, that's the original closets, obviously caused by the shape of the house. Nowhere else will you see three-cornered type closet like that. Somewhat a bit useless. However, it's better for closets rather than for storage for blankets and pillowcases and stuff like that, rather than for clothes and coats, and they're better with a hall tree than a closet like that.
What would be the purpose of the round roller type thing on the top of the front door?
Well, I'm not sure, but I expect that they had a curtain that hung over the front door in the wintertime for warmth, and that was probably the holder for the curtain. All of these doors are original doors in this room. Some of the other doors, such as the parlor, they disappeared, but those are the original doors there with the green panels that really look nice. We've missed one of the most unique rooms in the house, and that's the round room up on the second floor. Maybe we can go to that now.
Okay. Wow. So where are we now, Fred?
Well, this is the second floor of the Octagon House. It's a round room, as you can see. It's got a 9-foot ceiling, at least, and the windows are just, when you look at them from the outside, they're just above the roof. When you see them from the inside, they're so far up as you can't even look out of them. This was used as a bedroom when the Black family lived on this farm, I'm told. Right now, the present resident uses it as an office. You can tell by the bookcases and the desk and so forth. It's
Certainly an ideal office. You get sunlight all day long.
Yeah, it's a great office because of the light, and great for a painter or anybody like that, because you always have good light, no matter which way where the sun is.
The windows would swing back originally.
Yeah, they swing up to the ceiling, into those recessed holes in the ceiling. The way they were designed, that the window was on hinges, and I imagine it was on a weight, a pulley and a weight that brought it up into the recess. And you'd certainly need a long pole with a hook on it or a step ladder before you could open them or close them.
This door leads to the attic, doesn't it?
But yeah, the door just leads out all over the ceiling of the house, and by and large, it's for servicing or for any repairs needed that has to be done. There's quite an area out there, but is not usable because it's not floored over.
Are these the original wood floors?
Yes, they are. They're all pine floors on all the houses. Still has the original pine floors, although downstairs they are covered with carpet. They were wide plank floors, 2-inch plank floors.
And the high skirting boards too. Are they original?
Yes, they are. All of the trim in this room is original.
Well, there's another interesting room in this house. That's down in the basement, directly under where we're standing now.
Oh, yes. We haven't got to the basement yet. It has some unique features, too, that maybe we should have a look at it.
Okay. Okay, we're in the basement of the Octagon House. What are some of the interesting features that are down here, Fred?
Well, as you can see, the core is comprised of this rectangular room in the basement that supports the whole center of the house. It's a brick room, probably 15 feet square. And inside this core is what's known as the cold room, where you keep your potatoes and carrots and all your vegetables for the wintertime. There's two brick bins in there that are used specifically for keeping vegetables. There's also shelving in there where all the preserves are kept for the winter season.
The foundation is made from a kind of stone. Is that from the Credit Valley?
Oh, I think probably most of these are field stones that came about by collecting around the farm. There are certainly some big stones here, so when you're on a river valley like we are here, there's no scarcity of stones, and certainly when they excavated the house, they got quite a few too.
You know, as someone who's done some study of architecture, I find it fascinating to see this central core construction here, because if you look at many of the office buildings which are in downtown Toronto, this is the type of construction they would be using, which is to have a central concrete core and then sort of have the casing of the buildings hanging off the side. So it's certainly, in many respects, a very modern building for its time, in not just this, but in other ways too, with its the upstairs and the lighted room. Well, should we test the old octagonal principle and finish up where we started?
Yes, I guess we're going to be back where we started, so I think we've wound it up pretty well.
Thanks. Thank you for joining us from the Octagon House. We hope you enjoyed this show. Join us again next week for Brampton, Memories of a Small Town.
Funding for Brampton Memories of a Small Town has been brought to you in part by the Rotary Clubs of Brampton.